this race was pretty unbelievable. And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't start right at the finish with everything that transpired with Austin Dillon, Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin. Kevin, we've been waiting to hear your thoughts on this. Fair or foul, and what do you say?
Oh my gosh. Well, there are a number of things that we have to talk about from perspective here, and whose perspective you're looking at it from. You've got Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano. They're mad. Obviously, they thought that they could win the race. Logano beat Austin Dillon on that last restart, fair and square. Austin ran into the back of him, spun him out, so he's mad. Denny Hamlin thought he was going to sneak through and steal a win, and he got hit in the right rear and stuffed in a fence. He still finished second, so he's mad, but his interview after the race was unbelievable because I think Denny really put this into perspective. He's not mad at Austin Dillon for what he did. He's frustrated that he didn't win the race, but he understands the scenario that all of these drivers are in with the system. The system makes you do things that are so far outside of right and wrong that you have to be able to set all that aside, worry about the consequences another day, and you have to do what you have to do to put yourself into victory lane because the bar is so low on what's okay that you can do whatever you want. And I think I've been in this scenario to have to do it. We've seen some of the other drivers have to do this, and we saw it the very first year that this system came out with Ryan Newman and the dive bomb that he did on Kyle Larson to come to the checkered flag. And he didn't wreck Larson, but he put a move on that he would typically never do and wound up getting himself into the last race of the season to race for a championship. So I think that the real question here is, what does NASCAR do? Is there a new bar? Is there an actual line in the sand that says we're not going to race like this anymore? It's different with these cars. They don't bend when you dive the car in there and run into the back of another car. It lets you do things with your race car that you never were able to do with the old style race car. So we've seen injuries. We've seen races won. We had the scenarios at all the road courses where we had to move the restart zones because at Indianapolis, with this particular car, it becomes a battery ram. You just push the car in front of you until he pushes the guy out from in front of him. But you can't fault Austin Dillon for doing what he had to do to put himself in the playoffs with a 32nd place points position. And you have to make that move on Joey Logano. Now, the next move with the right rear, I think at that point, I mean, he's just trying to get to the finish line first. But I think that what we have to decide as a sport at this particular point is, how do you officiate it? Do you officiate it? And because I think that there has to be a line in the sand of what's acceptable and what's not. And until NASCAR officiates it like that, these things are going to keep happening because that's the system that you're in, when you're in. And that's what Austin Dillon had to do.
So we want to remind people that we are filming today on a Monday. We don't know yet what the fallout could be for these teams or what decisions will be made from NASCAR. Typically, that's on a Tuesday. We may know more about that. But your initial impression to what you saw for Austin Dillon, I mean, we're hearing Kevin talk about it too. These times sometimes call for desperate measures when there's a win and a playoff spot on the line.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because we're in this weird spot where, like, you look back through history and comments made, I'd wreck my mom to win a race and all this stuff. And then someone actually does it, and a lot of people are, like, taken back from it. And I've never wrecked anyone to win a race. I don't think I would. I feel like to earn it. I remember Jeff Burton losing to Kyle Busch at Bristol one year. He had every opportunity to turn him around, and he didn't. He just felt like to win a race, you need to earn it the right way, and I always respected that. But other drivers feel other ways about it. Now, one thing that I don't want to get lost in this is Austin Dillon drove the best race of his entire career.
And the best, definitely this season.
And without a doubt this season. He had the best car. He drove past Joey Logano and drove past Denny Hamlin. And if it wasn't for Ricky Stenhouse and Ryan Preece getting together with like 2 laps to go, he wins the race. So, and then on top of that, his crew, they come down pit road, his crew was perfect all night and was perfect on the money stop. And I think probably where it goes a little sideways is he didn't get a good restart. They mentioned on the broadcast that he was like 35th on the season in restarts, which he's been restarting not towards the front all year. And it showed. And probably needed to door the 22 instead of, running him as clean as he did. And then it kind of hurt him at the end. And so I don't want everyone to lose sight of what he did before that. But the 22 action, I'm understandable about it. The 11 action, I don't like right rearing. I think that's taking the gloves off. So,
Kevin, you spoke to Austin Dillon, obviously, for your victory lap to talk about the win. What was something that stood out to you from what he said and now that he's had kind of a day to process everything that happened?
I think when you're in that position, you know that it's not, I guess, the right way to do it, but you got to do it. You have to do it. In this particular playoff system, you have to be able to, step outside of your comfort zone as to what you think is right and wrong. So, I think from Austin's standpoint, he did what he thought was best for RCR and that company to put themselves in a position to make the playoffs and win. He admitted himself that they've just had a terrible 2 years, and this was his real opportunity to put himself into victory lane. But here's the hard part. 15 seconds after this race ended and the cars crossed the start-finish line, my phone's ringing. And the first question from Kaitlyn was, "Dad, is that okay for me to do? What would you tell me?" And you saw this in the Cars Tour race, a few weeks ago at Hickory. First thing we did was penalize the guy that spun out the leader for just a bonsai move, trying to win the race. Exact same scenario. Now, what we have to decide as an industry is what's right and what's wrong. How do we officiate it? Who's going to officiate it? Because I don't think that that's exactly how everybody wants to race, but it's the position that you're in this type of scenario with the points and the playoff system and the things that we do, knowing that there are no consequences. There are no consequences for what just happened, with everything that has happened in the past. The difficult part about this scenario is the right rear hook. We've seen this penalized with other people, but we've never been in a position to where we've had to penalize the winner of a race.
Hey, race fans, thanks for watching our video. For all NASCAR on Fox News, content, and the best clips from Fox Sports, be sure to follow and subscribe to our channel.